My name is Ансгар Bornemанn. I'm German. I'm 57 years old. I work for Nestle. My function is market head or managing director of Nestle Ukraina, Moldova, and I'm in Ukraine, in Kiev, since 1.5 years. I live in the wine region in Germany, and in autumn I started to harvest grape for wine production for 2 weeks, and this was the first time I really felt that I earned real money. I went to through the German school system to high school, and afterwards I went to university and I studied economics, microeconomics, focusing on generating demand. You don't get authority from a title, you have to earn authority. And if you're just new on a job, there are 2 points I would say. If you enter into a new job, listen, observe. And the second point is do what you say. My principle is that I have to be authentic. Every morning I look into the mirror and I perhaps rethink what has happened yesterday, what I have done yesterday. I need to say for myself that is in line what my principles, what I want to be. Be honest, be direct, be yourself. And if I would come to the conclusion that I was not myself, I would lose one of my principles. The other one is be critical to yourself. Difficult. No, it's a good question. I don't read books, and I'm often challenged. Why don't you read books? Because I simply say, perhaps it's an argument, I don't have time. I read a lot of publications, I read a lot of magazines. I'm very interested in what is going on day to day. For my personal growth, I think it's important, which is my personal aim. And it's something I read many years ago, and it was coming from Nelson Mandela. And it basically says, I never lose, I win or I learn. And to grow, to be accepted, is to accept that you do things wrong, but don't be sad about wrongdoing, but try to figure out what could I learn, what could you learn, what could I learn from it, and what could I do different next time to be better. The first thing I would say, you need to listen carefully. You need to be open, and you need to develop an atmosphere in your team that inspires your team and that gives your team the feeling that they can come up even with ideas which sound perfectly weird. You need to have an atmosphere of openness, honest, creativity. And to be honest with you, the other point is luck. There is no recipe to identify this is an innovation. I have a good, for me, definition about innovation. Innovation for me is to see something what everybody sees, but to think something that nobody thought before. I hope that I have an entrepreneurial approach. And if you want to be entrepreneurial, and we just talked about identifying new ideas, innovation, you can't do this without risk-taking. You need to take risks, but they have to be calculated. And, what is also important, you always need a plan B. I believe in the current times of fast changes, developments, there are enough examples that prove that if you are not ready and preparing and changing, and ready for change, you will lose. Who has thought 6 years ago that a BlackBerry would be out? Who has thought 5-6 years ago that Kodak would probably not exist? And these are big companies. These have been big pillars in their area they were competing. So for me, what I have to make sure, and that is my personal credo also, make sure in the organizations I lead that we are looking outside, that we identify changes in our environment, and that we are ready to act fast and to adapt to the changes to have another 150 years of Nestle coming up. What emotionally for me is very positive, and I'm happy to be here. I'm fascinated and impressed by the power and the willingness of the people here to change. Looking at the Maidan revolution, to see people that have a clear vision where they want to be or what they don't want to be, and not even talk about it, which already is a lot, but to fight for it, to fight for their future, even risking their life. This kind of attitude and approach of people in a country, and we see now what the country is going through, this is for me a very high motivating factor, which I really adore, and where I ask myself, what can I do in my function and personally to help the Ukrainian people on their move to the future where they want to be. And this is for me very emotional, because as a leader of a big organization, I can have input. I can change things, come back to change, and I can influence things. There are a few things. The first one is never give up. And I think especially, as I said, in the Ukrainian context, that is one that describes very well Ukrainian attitude. The second point for working in business, you need to have fun. You can't survive 31 years in a business environment where in the majority of days I go to work and I do my job, I have fun and I enjoy it. Because you can't spend 12 hours a day in an office and you come in the morning and you're already upset that you go there. You will have days that are not fun, and they are not only a few days, there are many days, but at the end of the day there must be significant more days where you enjoy. And one of the phrases I learned in a training, and I remember only a few of these phrases, is change it, leave it or love it. So if you come to the point where you question certain things, you change it. If you can't change it, you love it, and if you can't love it, you leave it.